Here we are, podcast for number 3, first one for 2020, and the first podcast we are doing in this podcast setup. I will clap myself on that one.
Epic setup.
So, epic setup. That's pretty cool. So
I love it.
we are here with James Newbury, and he is currently the 5th best CrossFitter in the world. And that is an amazing feat in itself. Right here from South Australia, little old Adelaide produces some great talent. And not only do we produce good food and wine, we produce James Newbury. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So just in case you don't know James, and I guess he has a very big influence definitely in the fitness world. I seem to see your face everywhere these days, a pretty big following on Instagram. From a young age, you were extremely competitive, started as young as the age of 5, and you endeavoured in all sporting, and your first starting was little athletics, and then you had a love for rugby. So I'm assuming that you were from not South Australia.
No. But the funny thing about that is I was born in the Blue Mountains and I lived in Sydney until I was 8 years old, moved to Adelaide, only played soccer while I was in Sydney. When I moved to Adelaide, about maybe 3 or 4 years after that is when I took up rugby league, which is kind of strange, but I don't know, maybe it was a calling that I'd missed out on. Mum didn't want me getting hurt as a 4 or 5-year-old.
From a young age, you then found CrossFit. Mm-hmm. And I've got here from 2012, you tried your first effort at the CrossFit Open and finished 47th, which was a great effort for your first ever chance at that. With no expectations coming out of that, you ended up with a 9th place. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then obviously the hunger for a CrossFit. What happened back then? Was it actually, how old were you back then?
I was at that time 21. So basically I went along to the regionals, didn't expect much. Well, I didn't even expect it to make it to regionals. Scraped in, I think they took 60 that year, came in at 47th. And then the weekend was really good. It was actually the first weekend away I had with Kayla. We'd been seeing each other kind of for about 3 weeks. And I said, do you want to come to regionals with me?
She's like, great date.
Yeah, I know. It was like weekend at regionals. And then she's like, yeah, sounds good. And then, the weekend went really well. I had a blast. And then, came away with the 9th. And I was just like, oh, man, maybe I could, we have to make top 3. So maybe I could have a good push and make it to the games. And that's when I kind of got hooked.
So that was a good start. Then from that, you had your regionals that continued to carry on for you for 2013, 14, 15. Then the real big news was in 2016, 17 and 18, where you went out to
Madison,
Madison for the last one, and you had results of a 26th, 27th, 17th, and then a 5th, which was last year's result. That's an amazing effort.
Thanks.
And to be able to be sitting here talking to you, which I've been quoting as the 5th fittest man on earth. It's a typical of an American event to claim that as in the world.
Totally.
They do the World Series of Baseball, and it's only in America, and the Super Bowl. But it's a fantastic effort, and for you to have that, obviously there's some hunger in there, and obviously we can get talking about that a bit later on. You have some phenomenal stats. But the thing I want to start off with is obviously we're in the food game. I've just recently, you've announced that you're going to try plant-based. How has that decision come about for you?
So originally, I'd actually been thinking about it for quite a long time. When I was probably back in 2012, so when I was 21, I did a couple of months of plant-based. And I did it because I did want to increase performance. I wanted to heal faster. I wanted to recover better. I wanted to be able to, be more endurant. And from a lot of the stuff I was reading at the time, that was, the way that a lot of the endurance athletes were going, especially with like triathlon and ultra running and things like that. And I was just like, oh, well, maybe this might be the way to go. And probably back then, I didn't spend enough time researching how to do it and do it well. And then I also, had a lot of people telling me that if I did do it, I'd get, super weak. I wouldn't gain any muscle. I wouldn't get stronger. And at that point in time, I needed to get stronger. Endurance was okay. Everything was, for me, has always been kind of like okay at everything. It's never been like super excelling at any one thing. And so I was like, worried about, getting smaller and weaker. So I never really stuck to it. And then, over the course of the years, I have, come to realize I love researching stuff. By no means am I, a nutritionist or, an expert in anything. All the things that I've done is just, me having a crack at them and then seeing how I feel. So, and plus on top of that, I'd always been really, the way that I thought about it was I don't think I could go out and I don't think I could kill an animal myself. And I just couldn't do it. I think about my dogs too much. I think about my dogs. I think about my friends' dogs. I think about the cats. I think about all that type of stuff. And it's like, I can't do it myself. And if I can be, competitive and I can compete well and I can do it off it, then I would prefer to do that. And that's my main thing. So mainly it's for, personal feelings towards, that impact I would have. Then taking the time to learn about how I can fuel my body well on a plant-based diet, that was just like, if I can do it without it, then I'll do it without it.
Yeah. Look, I've set it at 2020. I'm going to have one vegan meal a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great.
And that's hard.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I've had eggs, so it's like, oh, that doesn't count.
No.
So then I had
It's veggie.
Yeah, that's right. Then I had some ham in the sandwich. It's like, Jesus. So
yeah,
it's harder than you think.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing about it is retraining yourself to your go-tos. Like when I was eating an omnivore diet, I knew that I was getting my protein from either my breast of chicken, my piece of steak, my eggs or my fish. And then I knew I was getting all my micronutrients, or a lot of my micronutrients, from my leafy greens and my colourful plant food. And then I was getting my carbohydrates from either my rice or my sweet potato or things along those lines. And so now I look at it and it's just like, okay, where am I going to get my protein from? What are my go-tos? What are my daily easy things that I can prepare to give me my protein, to give me a complete amino acid profile? What are my things that I can get my carbohydrates from, and where can I get my fats and my micronutrients, and where can I pull all these different things from? And it's just basically retraining yourself. Like if you've been living a particular way for 30 years, it's like flipping it on its head. So you're basically just trying to get someone, thank you so much. You're basically trying to get someone to relearn 30 years of habit. And it just takes time. And if you're prepared to put in the time to do it, eventually it just becomes like second nature. Like, making your steak, veg, and carbohydrate meals. Yeah, it's just learning what the new foods are where you're going to gain good protein.
So when you're actually doing that, I'm bad at going to bad food. And it's funny how you say you don't want to harm animals and stuff like that. I think to be at the elite level that you are, there's a level of something in the brain's not normal.
I agree.
And you must have to go to some deep, dark places, which I only get to those after a bottle of vodka on a Saturday night or something like that. But
I saw you pushing pretty hard this morning. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of having James as the coach this morning. And, that goes into another level of like, you've got the gym. Soul 365, and to actually have you coaching people like in a class environment, that's to me what we call management by walking around. And to see you actually do that, it's a really good trait in your own business. I do commend you to that, because you could be one of these guys that just sits back and goes, I've done it right, but you seem to be always pushing forward. And when you're talking about your food and what you want to change, the interesting part that I notice is that you spend $250 a week by trying to eat clean. Not trying, but eating clean. That's a lot of money to put towards your body. Obviously, it pays off, and obviously your body's your number one asset.
Yeah.
So with that thought pattern, is it the whole house? So is Kayla also doing the same thing as you? Because it doesn't seem like one can do it and one can't.
Yeah, I think in a relationship, it does definitely cross over. And so when I said, that's it, I'm doing it, she was just like, yeah, I'd be keen too. Okay. So we kind of, Kayla probably started maybe a couple of weeks after I did properly. She's always been one to, like, if we do something different, she's always one to finish off, whatever's left in the house. It's not like just a throw out. It's just like, she hates being wasteful. So if we prepare food and we don't eat it all, she'll pack it up and make sure we eat it, the next day or the next day or the next day. Yeah. So She finished off the rest of the food. I just said, "No, I'm doing it now," and I stopped. But she finished it off, and she's been doing it too. And she said she's feeling great as well. And it's just a point for us that we get to do it together. We get to talk about it. We get to talk about how we feel about it, and then also we get to prepare these new meals, and we're kind of learning as we go, preparing these foods and trying to get the most out of our nutrition together.
So, are you one of these people that rock up announcing that I'm a vegan?
No, 100% not. I don't like. I put off talking about it that much for a good couple of months. Like I didn't want to decide that I wanted to do this and then come out the very next day and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I wanted to do it, and I wanted to do it properly, and then I wanted to slowly slide in across time, letting people know what I was doing. And no, I don't like to announce it, and I usually just say plant-based. The connotations that surround it, it's like I'm not ever going to push it on anybody else, but I'm happy to let people know what I'm doing and trying to educate them as much as possible on what I'm doing and what I've found and my own personal experience. And if that can have an impact that is good for someone else, then great. Fantastic.
So there are things that are making forwards the movement, and obviously Netflix had Greatest Athlete in the world. I think it was
Fittest on Earth.
Fittest on Earth
From the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
Yep.
The one where they start going through the different athletes in multi-sports. It'll come to me. Someone will send it to me, but it's
Game Changers.
Game Changers.
The plant-based Game Changers.
Plant-based Game Changers,
Yeah.
and I, as a bit of an outsider looking in, obviously in the supermarket game, we're very trying to be on a edge of. We like to be on the leading edge, not the bleeding edge. So a lot of this product takes a bit of movement, and you do get big. That must help. Like watching that, I think it was a little bit biased, just for the record.
Of course, yes.
100%. But when you actually watch that, it makes. I was blown away. From a novice looking in, I had no idea that plant-based could actually produce the result. And the athletes they were using, obviously, they're superhuman, literally superhuman. And I looked at that thinking, okay, maybe this is something because of that. Yep. And we sell lots of meat, we sell lots of products, as you could imagine. So that really opened my eyes to sort of, hey, maybe I'll just try and do a veggie more often. And in fact, we are doing more veggie now.
Yeah.
So do you see that as other than being biased? Is that something you think will be everyone's going to be into?
Yeah, well, I think you can be healthy on like an omnivorous diet. I think you can be healthy there. I think you can be healthy on a plant-based diet too. I think getting more plants into your diet for most people is going to be fantastic. I just think trying to beef up the amount of leafy greens, the amount of colourful food that you eat is always going to be a benefit to pretty much 99% of the people walking around on the street. So I think that in itself, if you're looking at maybe taking a meal out that was going to contain, a bit of everything and making it, vegetarian or vegan, and having predominant, those things in there and making it as colourful as possible, like eat the rainbow as much as you can, that is going to be only good for you, because all you're going to be doing is picking up extra vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, and supplying your body with what it needs to help it recover, help fight disease, help fight inflammation, and also healing the gut. And as soon as we start to do that and repair those areas of the body, your mind starts to work better, you start to think clearer, you start to get better sleep, your recovery is faster, you start to perform better in the gym, you start to think better at work. And if we can promote eating more plant food, even if you don't want to take the step from, eating meat to just not eating it at all, just maybe decreasing the amount that you eat and then increasing your plant food could always be a good thing. That's the way I see it.
So is this the right strategy? So I've thought I'm going to start to eat more vegetarian. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why, because I love meat, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But leading up from Christmas, we're up the river, having a great time. And I made a point of filling up. So I'd eat what I had to eat, and then I would be going back and filling up on the veggies. Yep. Which normally I would fill up on the meats. On the meat, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Is that, can you overfill on vegetables or not? Or you just consume it because you think it's better to consume than meat, or should you only eat like they used to say, a fist size?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would say if you're going to fill yourself up,
That's what to do it on. Yeah.
fill yourself up on the plant food for sure. You don't want to overdo it and get the meat sweats. That's for sure. So I would,
which everyone must have got.
Yeah, 100%. So I would say, yes, you get to a point where, you know, if you get to a point where you're extremely full and you're persisting on forcing food down your throat, yeah, that gets to a point where it's like, okay, you need to pull back, even if it is plant food. But if you do want to fill up and you have had, you know, say the portion that you would recommend for yourself, and you do want to get full on something else, 100% get full on, you know, that salad, and you can add other things to it to make yourself feel fuller, whether it's nuts and seeds and other bits and pieces to get some, you know, good fats into your system, avocado, and you can really beef up and fill up your belly and make yourself feel satiated and satisfied from those types of things. Because
my biggest thing is snacks, right? So I start the day perfect, like breakfast, I think good, and lunch, yeah, pretty good. And then I get to that 3-4 o'clock, and it's got to be a mental thing that I just start craving chips or, you know, stuff that's bad for you. Like it does my fucking head in.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not focusing on it enough.
Yeah.
But I can't be the only one that has that issue
No.
I think I'm making better choices now, but oh damn, it's hard. It's really mentally hard.
Yeah. I understand.
Like when I say people, oh yeah, James, yeah, he's like my size, but he's a fucking unit. And like going, oh okay, like, but you know, you are, because of what you obviously are, what you eat. Do you believe in that saying?
100%. Yeah, totally. Everything that makes up your cells and everything that makes up every part of you is what you put in your body and what you absorb through your skin. So if you're filling yourself up on processed food constantly, you're exposing yourself to tons of chemicals and environmental toxins all the time, your cells don't become, you know, really susceptible to chronic disease. They become really susceptible to not functioning properly. You start to get, you know, obviously symptoms of 1,000,001 different things. So if we can fill ourselves up and supply ourselves with the proper nutrients that we need to, you know, create connective tissue, rebuild muscle, do all the things that we need to do, and supply ourselves with that, then we're going to be building on that. And I think it usually takes a little bit of time for us to do that. But yes, if you're filling yourself up with shit, you will end up functioning like shit.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. And there's some of these things that are saying if you go for a plant-based diet, it helps with migraines, headaches, skin issues, certain cancers, digestive problems, allergies, stroke, dementia, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, obesity. They're just to name a few of some of the benefits of going with a plant-based diet. And it is something that's gaining a lot of attention. We're in the supermarket world. We're actually seeing it in what we're selling.
Yep.
So people are making a conscious effort. Our stores do have, I believe, quite big organic or organic vego.
Yeah.
We haven't labelled vegan on its own, but we do have lots of products throughout the store that are vegan as well. So we're starting to see it. There's definitely a trend from all overseas. So it is something that we're trying to push. And it's interesting. I've got to ask you, do you think cavemen back in the day, do you think they ate vegetables?
I think that they would have had a wide variety of things available that were, you know, depends how far back you go, but if they weren't, you know, cropping and doing those things, they will be finding, you know, things like wild berries and fruits on trees. And, you know, I guess it'd be very seasonally depending on what they're going for. If they went through drought and there was, you know, not a lot of plant life around, then they, you know, would obviously go for the meat. But I guess I'm not an expert on that area, but I would say they're eating a lot of fruits and things that they could find growing around them, and they would probably get their hands on whatever they possibly could. So fruits or veggies, do you think there's a better one to eat? You know, the people talk about the sugar or the fructose in fruit. Is it, you know, it's obviously not as bad as refined sugar, but what is there? Obviously, you're going to say there's a balance. Yeah, totally. And I would say, yeah, there's probably not a correct answer for that, but there is definitely a balance. I love both. I fill up a lot of my. I'll mix and match any types of food. You know, I won't steer clear of, you know, cooking up some tofu or tempeh and then putting avocado, sweet potato, blueberries, raspberries, banana, all in one meal. I won't steer clear of that. I'll mix it all together, but that doesn't affect me, the way it might affect someone else. Someone might say, oh, that gives me a crook stomach, or that doesn't really work so well. But for me, I can pretty much mix and match everything together, and I feel great.
So yeah, I like mix and matching. So maybe there's some life for me here.
Yeah.
Some of the stats coming out is that if you go plant-based, there's a 37% chance less of cancer.
Yeah, well, look, I think the best thing about it is, and usually what people tend to do when they start to go into this direction of eating more plant-based food is that they start to take away things that haven't been agreeing with them quite a long time, and they start to actually feel the effects of it. It's like a lot of people probably don't know how good they possibly could feel, because feeling like crap every day, if you do it for 10 years, it just becomes the norm. So the instant that you remove something that you don't know any different is, you might end up, for someone, they might have a reaction, say, to maybe dairy, and they've got these skin issues, and they've had them the whole life, but they've never pinpointed that it could be dairy causing them, or something, a reaction that they're getting. And they pull it away, and they start to feel amazing. So then that's one step in the right direction. Or they start to eat more foods that are anti-inflammatory, that aren't causing them to, maybe have an outbreak of, eczema or whatever it may be. But I think at the end of the day, foods that are full of nutrients is what you're after. Foods that are full of life, and foods that are full of what we're made to eat, whole foods, instead of things that are, really heavily, either contaminated or sprayed, or things that we shouldn't be putting inside our body. The chemical aspect of it is big, but also eating things that are processed so much that we're not really gaining that much nutrient out of them. We want to be able to supplying our body with, the macronutrients, but we also want to provide ourselves with as many micronutrients and minerals as we possibly can, to complete the picture for building quality cells and optimizing performance.
So the meats that are coming out now, that are like mock meats,
yes,
they're not. I don't know if they're fully plant-based, but some of them, when you have a look, there's a fair few numbers in them.
Yes.
What's your impression of, let's just call it mock meat?
Yeah, sure. So the things that, if you look on the back of the package and you see a bunch of colours and numbers that are part of the food, I would say they're part of your treat section that you don't have all the time. That's not a daily thing. Your daily uptake, and you can use the 80-20 rule if that's how you would like to go about it. And I think it's a good place to start. You want to eat, say, 80% whole foods that are just its raw form of food. And then if you want to, enjoy a bit of time and have something a little bit sweet and socialize, and you want to have some things that do have that in there, yeah, do it for sure. But just don't do it every day. So with the mock meats, for instance, if you've got a whole bunch of things that are, holding it together, and the numbers and colors, that's something that you would maybe make on a weekend for a meal in the week, that you can say, I'm going to make a burger and I'm going to put a patty on it that's got, some extra things in there. It makes it taste really nice, but it's not something that I want to be building my cells out of on a day in, day out basis.
Yeah. My biggest problem is eating sauce.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to condiments, so I've got to work on that. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I think the best thing about all of those things in particular, and what this has actually really shown me, and Kayla as well, is all the things that we really love, we can derive all those things that we really love and the taste. We can make them from scratch at home if we would just take the time to learn how to do it. It doesn't take very long at all. Like I guarantee, and I'll make this for you as well. I'll make you this beautiful avocado mousse.
Yep.
It'll taste exactly like yogo or chocolate mousse. It'll taste amazing, and I guarantee you won't even know that there's any avocado in there, but it'll be full of micronutrients, good carbohydrates, good fats, good protein, and you won't even be able to tell.
I've seen it on menus before, but I've thought,
I'm not eating that. Yeah, exactly. You think it's going to taste like... Yeah, you'll think it tastes like crap. But honestly, you can really do it. And a lot of the things that we really enjoy, were originally derived that way, and then we've just slightly modified to make them cheaper or make them easier to create in mass numbers for the population. And if you really just take the time to educate yourself on how to do it, you can do it at home very, very fast in a processor or whatever it may be. And you can still have the sauces and stuff, but you can just, pulverize it at home and mix and match. And there's plenty of recipes online where you can just follow along and have it done in 2 or 3 minutes. And the good thing about YouTube these days is that you can jump online, say, give me a plant-based or vegan recipe for this, and you can done.
And that's what's so good about it. When so there's a stat here which is pretty staggering, is that 1 kilo of animal or protein. So 1 kilo of animal protein is about 24 times as much land, 26 times as much fossil fuel, and 30 times as much water.
Yeah, I know.
The stat's huge. And then we looked up a vegetarian. There's vegetarians around the world, about 12% of the population. Bear in mind, a lot of these people probably can't afford to have meat protein.
Sure.
So that's what skews that number, especially for, obviously in Australia, we don't quite have that problem.
Yes.
They're staggering numbers moving forward, and what we're seeing as a trend with the millennials moving forward is that, people can give a lot of shit to millennials, but the reality is they're just researching their food because they have this.
Yes.
You've got the phone in your hand, so if you just want to find something out, it's as easy as that.
100%.
I see that as what's changing the way, and us as supermarket retailers, we promote unhealthier food double the amount that we do healthy, and that's only because that's what the consumers have wanted.
Yes.
You can already see the big companies, with the cereals that are coming through, they're already making changes with how much sugar is going into cereal for your kids. I mean, the 5-star ratings getting a review because I think Milo had a 4.5-star rating.
Yeah.
Like, I love Milo, don't get me wrong, I'm an Aussie kid, but it just goes to show how the system wasn't right.
Oh, yeah, totally.
They're very aware of it. The big companies, the Kellogg's and Sanitarium, they're definitely working on moving forward. So I think the education piece, 100%, we're in the land of education right now. And it appears to be moving forward.
Yeah, I think the environmental part of it would be second on my list as to the reason why I'm doing it. First is obviously animal welfare and the situation that they're in, but also number 2, before I even get into health, is environmental impact. And then number 3, then it comes into long-term health and longevity.
Okay, so you're obviously pretty fit.
Some days.
What's your interpretation of what fitness is?
Yep. So for me, I think everybody wants to work optimally. So in some way, shape or form, it's just that what I do is everything that I do, it's the degree that changes. If someone wants to be really good at their job or just live a healthy life, I would be doing the same things as those people, but then just intensifying it and doing more of it, just to make myself more optimal in what I want to do and train and sport and compete. So my interpretation of fitness is, I guess, if you wanted to look at it in terms of competing for me, there's probably a couple of different variations, but I want to be as good as I possibly can at as many different things as I possibly can.
Only in that area.
Yeah. So
do you think you'll be really good at lifting up people upstairs in a fire, or do you think if there was a rescue, you'd be good at swimming out to get them?
100%.
Do you think you'd be good at running to through the forest to go and grab them?
Yes.
And pick them up?
Yes.
And
that's
is that why you're doing CrossFit?
Well, that's the reason it originally started, was because they wanted to train people to be more optimal at their work, and usually it was for the first responders. So being able to give any situation and be good at whatever could come up, and that situation is unknown. So being good at the unknown and unknowable. So rocking up to a situation and being able to physically handle it better than most.
So is that why CrossFit they do a lot of the armed forces?
Yes.
They do talk about fireys. They definitely talk about these services that... Is that a reason?
Yeah, it's basically not having a chink in the armor for any given situation. So if we had to, for instance, go into a burning building and pick up someone and carry them out, you obviously want to be moderately strong to be able to handle them. You want to have moderate fitness to be able to carry them down the stairs. You want to have, a bit of spatial awareness, balance and coordination to be able to get them out of there. And so all these skills that we're working on all amount to fitness and being able to achieve that task the best way possible. You don't want to go out into a situation and then be let down by one of your chinks in your fitness armor, which is the 10 modalities of fitness that we have defined. So basically,
Aha. What are they?
endurance. I can do it
No,
for.
I'm sure you can. We'll probably talk about it. God, I've never heard that terminology.
So the 10 modalities, basically what we try and do when we train is we want to be training those 10 modalities. And those 10 modalities, I'll just rattle off a couple: endurance, speed, power, coordination, agility, accuracy, stamina, all those types of things.
So that's pretty much CrossFit.
Yes, exactly. And that's the basis of it. And if you can train all those areas and have them all equal, and no one particular modality of fitness gets preference over another, then you are very well rounded. So
is this the modern pentathlon?
In a nutshell, it's just basically
pentathlon? Is that 10? 10 events?
Decathlon. So yeah, the decathlon, they have 10 different events, but then what we're looking for with those different modalities of fitness, we want to be able to, basically bringing that skewed line. So if you've got a marathoner over here who is 60 kilos and who can run a marathon in an hour, 59 minutes and 52 seconds.
Yeah, that's just only recently
something like that.
Yeah.
50, maybe he was a little bit under that.
Breaking the 2-hour barrier has only recently happened.
And then you've got someone over this end of the spectrum who can deadlift 400 and I think the most recent one, or 502 kilos or something like that.
Holy hell, that's double what you can lift.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. So then my aim in the game is to be able to run that marathon moderately well, and also deadlift that moderately well and meet in the middle. So then if I'm given any particular task, and I usually don't, when I rock up to competition, I don't know what I'm doing. But their aim of the game, when they're programming the games or programming a competition I'm competing in, they're programming to test me evenly across all these 10 modalities. So I'm showing my capacity in endurance. I'm showing my capacity in stamina. I'm showing my capacity in strength and speed and coordination and accuracy, and showing my ability to perform tasks and tasks well. Not being able to, for instance, if you were to give Kipchoge a marathon, he would crush any CrossFitter by far. But if you asked him to deadlift, he probably wouldn't do a huge deadlift. Yeah. But then if you asked the mountain to pull a heavy deadlift, he would crush it. But if you asked him to run a marathon, see you later. Yeah. So I don't want to be put with him if I'm out on a task that we don't even know what's happening. If we're out on an unknown destination with an unknown task, I would prefer to go out there with you than either one of those two, because I know that you can complete majority of tasks better than either one of those two, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Did you hear that? Yeah.
That's
the same.
Did you hear that? That's the idea of the game. And then so you take that and you take it away from everyday situations, and then you put it into a sport. And then the aim of the game there is to take this to the next level and hone it and hone it and hone it. So then that gap in between, that sector of running the 2-hour marathon and deadlifting 500 kilos, we slowly taper out from these people that are moderately good running 4-hour marathons and deadlifting 200 kilos. They start to run 3:15 marathons and start to deadlift 270 kilos. And then they start to run sub 3-hour marathons and deadlift over 300 kilos. That's the aim of the game, and finding that basically ultimate performance athlete.
Which is all levels. So the ultimate, which is exactly how you explained it. Which is the happy medium for everything.
Yeah, and then that happy medium just becomes more intensified and intensified and intensified. And that's the hard part about it, finding the balance between all those things. So if we're training so many different types of modalities, we obviously have to do a lot of volume of training. And that's where the base of the pyramid comes in, which is nutrition, and then recovery and sleep and all those types of things down here. And that's what allows us to perform all these different tasks.
So CrossFit, the game changers. I watched that and went, fuck, these guys are freaks. And I thought, I can do some of that. That's actually what made me start to go to CrossFit.
Oh, yeah. You watch Fittest on Earth?
Fittest on Earth.
Yes.
Sorry, at Fittest on Earth. And I was like, holy hell. That looks like, because I like not being bored. I like something different every time I train.
Totally.
If I actually came to do the same thing, I wouldn't rock up. If I actually looked on the phone what the workout was.
And it was the same thing every day? Yeah, I wouldn't rock up
if
either.
I looked at it, it was too hard, I wouldn't rock up.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I just rock up. So
Good.
I'm there. So it's my alarm clock is to go there,
That
right?
was the original point of it, is to rock up and not know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But
Well, now the guys are on their
nowadays
phones.
they want to know.
Yeah, and if it's a long run, none of them are rocking
Exactly.
up. Because I think CrossFitters tend to like lifting a bit more weight.
Correct.
And I like more of the running and stuff. But it's made me, I think it's made me a lot stronger just by doing CrossFit. And you talk about CrossFit because they've done an amazing job with the machine that they have done to get them to where they're at now. Where do you think the future for CrossFit is?
That's a really tough one. Like, for me, I love lots of mixed modality stuff. If I had to do the same thing every day, I'd be bored out of my brain.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do it.
It's not just me.
No, I wouldn't do it. But I think each gym that you go to tends to reflect the owner a lot. Like, I love the fitnessy side of things. I love lifting weights too, don't get me wrong. But if it's slightly biased towards weightlifting, I'm not a huge fan. I would prefer to get out and go for an outdoor run or a swim or a bike and do some gymnastics rather than go lift heavy weights every day. I would like to lift weights, 4 to 5 times a week, but I'd prefer to, and that's what I have to do anyway, and sometimes more, but then I would prefer to spend more of my time working on other things, whereas I think in the past, the breaking point for either making it to the games or not making it to the games was based on strength.
Yeah.
And that was never my forte so much. These days, I think it's more well-rounded in terms of putting in more endurance-y, cardio, aerobic-based stuff to make it more balanced. But as I said, I think each gym tends to bias their owner. Whereas you go to a particular gym and the dude who owns it's super mega strong, so everything's biased towards strength. But then you go to a gym that's owned by someone who's a ex-endurance athlete, and everything's based around endurance-y type stuff.
So going to CrossFit, your original gym was CrossFit Mode.
Correct.
And you had a couple outlets.
Yep.
I think you might have sold one or franchised it or whatever. And now your new gym, Soul 365.
Yep.
I've noticed there's a shitload more people.
Yeah.
And you've rebranded, like you've moved locations because you're getting in trouble with noise.
Yeah.
And the neighbours didn't like weights dropping
at 6 a.m. And I actually went into their house and we did drop a couple of weights and it almost shook their telly off the wall. I was just like, okay, we better stop. So I understand where they're coming from.
So, the move for you, you've always been able to, it looks like you've been able to see some trends and then move with them. Changing the name simply, CrossFit does have a bit of, when you say it to people, it does put a few people off.
100%.
And, changing the name, I thought, as just a gym goer, I thought it was a masterstroke in regards to what your business is doing. Because you still actively support CrossFit.
Yeah.
But you've gone out on your own to change it. And I know you want to do a lot more with recoveries and, you want to introduce a whole lot of other parameters of whether it's spin classes or yoga classes or I don't know if you can call it yoga. You have to call it stretching or something.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Well, I think you could call it yoga if you wanted to, but
you might have to pay someone a fee.
Yeah, exactly. Potentially.
But, it really changed my mind with what you were doing because previous to that, I didn't really realise, okay, James. And then I started watching you in the games and it was pretty exciting to watch. So to see your movement forward, to see the change, and with CrossFit where it's going, it's like any big sport. You talk about UFC, you talk about stuff that is as big as it's going to get. Where does it go? And you have to keep reinventing,
100%.
Or you just fall along the wayside to the next thing.
I agree. I think the evolution, and I've always been one to always want to continue growing, learning, evolving, keeping an open mind to anything. I'll always keep an open mind and give everything a chance. And with Soul in particular, what I found that we were missing was I wanted to find more balance for the members that were coming in. I wanted to be able to grab someone who was coming in from a stressful day at work and not just run them through another stressful workout and then send them on their way and then expect them to go home and be able to fall asleep properly. They're too overstressed, they have too much cortisol. or, I wanted to create an environment that was more encompassing of longevity. That was the idea behind it. And if we look at all of the different areas around the world where people are living over 100, the blue zones or the centenarian zones, where high populations of people living over 100, you have a look at how they interact with other people. You look at how they live and what they do. And you can see that there's a bit of a pattern. They're very social, like they get together a lot. So I wanted to create an environment where people could come together and they could have a chat with someone, not just rock into a gym, chuck their headphones in, keep to themselves and be alone in the corner and then go home and not talk to anyone and then go to bed. Whereas mental stimulation and creating relationships all goes towards mental health and also creating the wholesome, encompassing longevity spectrum that I wanted to teach to the people that I'm in contact with.
So I did see a doco on these people living longer, drinking their coffee, having their wine, and getting together.
Yeah.
And we talked about, I had a holiday up at the river, and I loved the place up there, and I ate and drank probably more than I should, but I probably didn't eat bad food. So for me, came back, I actually feel amazing, which is scary for everyone around me, because you function so much on a different level.
Higher, much higher.
And when you look at those blue zones, none of them are near Australia.
No.
We'll put them up so you can have a look at them, but they're all, they're all in, like, you're talking Greece, Italy, and Costa Rica, Osaka, they're all in places that are very pretty places to go to.
Yeah, and it's like, it's getting back to, for us, it was, trying to encompass all the things that amount to what we believe in our personal experience is, all-round health. So that's, yes, teaching the fitness for sure. That's what I'm very passionate about, the fitness side of things. But I'm also passionate about creating an environment where people feel they can be part of a community, where they can come and have a coffee. That's why we put the coffee in, because I wanted people to sit down and have a chat and, have social interaction. And if they can do that, that's a step towards being healthier and having better relationships. And then also teaching people how to work in more, because people smash themselves all day long. They get terrible sleep and they're on the go, they're slamming it out and they're working hard and hustling. But then where's their time to recoup and recover and do those things? So trying to promote the working in protocols that I really enjoy and love, and that's, having the float tank there and doing some sauna and doing the breath work and doing the stretch at the end of class. All those things find balance. And if you don't have balance, something's going to give at some point. If you have a stress bucket and all you do is put in work stress, relationship stress, training stress, and then you have no outlet to dump water out of that bucket, whereas that's your working in stuff, that's your breathing, your meditation, you're getting outside and getting sunlight, your good food, your good sleep. If you don't have someone scooping out that bucket and it overflows, that's when you get hit with chronic disease, overworked, injury, cortisol levels are through the roof. You get, a whole bunch of different ailments that'll just plug you for ages. Like people that burn themselves out too much, and you've got things like adrenal fatigue and chronic fatigue that, almost never leave you. And you have to work really hard to get them back into sync. And so if you don't have balance, then there's no point in really having too much at all, because at the end of the day, if you can't function, then what's the point?
So going on the float tank, because you've got something there.
Yeah.
I actually haven't done a float tank.
Oh, you're going to have to. You would have all the best ideas in there.
Which I can't believe
don't put him in there. Everyone's shaking their head. If you can't see that, everyone's shaking their head, so don't put him in there.
I actually haven't done that. I think I have a high stress job.
100%.
And from Dad, I remember the times where, the banks are calling Monday mornings to Dad. As a little kid, I remember them they're asking, where's the money for this and this and this and this and this and this. And from a very young age, Dad sort of said, don't stress over, when something happens, you just got to think, what's the worst possible thing that can happen? And you can always say you die, but whatever the worst possible thing is, and then work your way back from that. And the reality is 90% of what you think is going to happen doesn't happen.
I agree.
So there's your stress, right? So I can quickly cut off that very easily. And I think I'm really fortunate to be able to think like that, because I hear and I speak to people that just don't have that ability to be able to deal with high stress situations. And the only problem with that is, people turn around and go, oh, fuck, he's a bit casual. This guy's a bit fucking casual.
Yeah. To everybody else, the shit's hitting the fan. He's just like, it'll work out.
Yeah. And it's like even like we've got, our girls have got these rocking horses that they ride, and they don't have brakes. And our driveway's a slight tilt like that. Yeah. And Layla's gone down this hill, and she's not going to stop. And I go, nah. And my wife just looks, it's like, she just freezes. And like, I had to run and stop. And it's like, she goes, fuck, how did you think to do that? I said, well, fuck, she's going to hit the fucking garage door, babe. So it was like, for me, it's one of those things that I've had situations where you just have to react. And I think I react more so because I think I'm calmer. Yeah. I don't know. That's what I think in my mind. Does the float tank do that?
No, yes, 100%. I agree. Like, for me,
full of magnesium or Epsom salt? Or
both.
Both.
It's the same, yeah. One and the same. So it's basically, just going on to that, when I first opened the gym, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know how to do anything. All I did, I rocked up to a commercial leaser or whatever it was at the time, and I just said, I want to get this property. I saw that you've got it. Can I have it? And they were just like, sure. So they said, you're going to need a security deposit. I didn't even know what that was. I was like, oh, geez, I didn't even know that. And then so I had to go find more money, And then in the beginning, I would stress about everything. I would stress about bills. I would stress about keeping everyone happy. I would stress about this, stress about that. And then over the course of time, I've just I'm so relaxed. Like, I've missed about 25 flights because I'm just relaxed. I just don't care. And if I stress myself out about every little thing that can pop up, I'll forever be living in stress, and that's not what I want. It's not what's going to make me happy. So I'd prefer to miss the flight than crush myself all the time about what have I got to do? Where do I got to be? What have I got to do this? At the moment, I'm stressed because I've got so much on the go, but there's a time and a place. I know that coming back from this period of time where we've got the fires going on, we're doing some renovations at the gym. I've got to train. I've got a competition in 8 weeks that I'm stressing about. Doing all these things, I don't feel super fit at the moment. All those things, I know they'll work out, but I know I'll have a bounce back at some point where I'll give myself my winter. And at the moment, I'm in summer where I'm, under the pump, but I'm okay to do that because I've just come off a hardcore winter where, I took time off when I fell off my bike. I took time off in Bali where I did a fasting retreat and centered myself. I took time off getting ready for the Ironman. So I wasn't under the pump so much. So at the moment, I can handle the stress. My stress bucket is low, but it's filling fast. But I know when it gets to a particular point, and I'll be able to recognize that because the more you do it, the better in tune you become with your body. Recognize that you're getting to the point of, okay, I'm about to overflow. And usually Kayla's a really good one to sense that out. And she'll be like, you need a break. Here's a plane ticket. Go away. And I'll go somewhere. She'll fly me to, I don't know. She'll say, go up to Queensland and hang out there for a week and go train with someone. Or she'll fly me to Cookville and say, go train with Tia and Shane, because she knows that I get along well with them and we have great rapport and we can go and train and have a laugh and have a good time. So she'll recognize it too. So basically, if you can de-stress yourself as much as possible and try and live a less highly strung day-to-day, I think that's better. Like, just be more easygoing and flowing. Yeah, work hard for sure. Yes, there are times for stress. Yes, don't avoid stress. Just deal with stress better. That's the key. You don't want to avoid it so much and then come crashing down when stress comes upon you. You want to be able to see stress, acknowledge it, and then deal with it in a better way. And that's what the float tank does help with. So what the float tank does for me, in particular for competition, I can get in there and I can basically rehearse in my head what I'm about to do. And if you can rehearse and rehearse and rehearse, when you get to those box step overs that you've rehearsed in your head, you know how much they hurt because you've done them before. You say, it's going to hurt me this much. I'm going to feel like this. I'm going to be sweating this much. I'm going to be feeling the noise of the crowd. There's music going to be playing. And I'm okay with that. I already know what's going to happen. I've done it 50 times in the float tank. Whereas the person next to me, it's his first time. He's freaking out. His legs are burning more than he thought. His heart rate is 20 beats higher than it normally was, and only because he's stressing. Whereas I can visualize everything that's going on inside the float tank because there's nothing coming in to interrupt me. I don't have any light. I don't have any sound. I don't have any gravity on me. I don't have anything that's actually no sensory input coming in. All I have is me going over my visualization patterns in the float tank, so I can get ready for competition really well. Plus, I'm also soaking up magnesium. So magnesium is good for over 300 chemical processes in the body. You're better at healing. You're better at fixing cramps. You're better at healing the muscles. Sleep helps get you into a nice, calm, relaxed sleep state. It helps to drop cortisol. It does so many good things for you. Like, it's just, it's like going back in the womb.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah. Or being in outer space. One of the two.
Because it's funny, most people go to the tank to relax, and you're in there going through fucking doing step overs and workouts, because that's how you deal.
Yeah, totally. And I think I'll use it for different things at different times. So I'll use the tank if I'm getting ready for competition. If I've got a competition that's local to home and I can get in my tank all the time, I'll get in there, every day for 7 days and go about my competition. But if I'm in there and I've, got something going on with the gym and I want to, redo it or evolve it in some way, shape or form, I can jump in there and I can put things in place uninterrupted.
Okay.
Or if I've had a heavy training session and I just want to recover better, I can just jump in there. I can either, fall asleep for an hour, soak up some mag, not be interrupted, and just completely relax and calm down. That's another good way to go about it. So you've got a couple of different options while you go in there.
So there's some on and off about ice baths or hot, cold.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they say you have to finish on cold.
Yes, you do.
Damn it. That's where I've gone wrong. But what's your, is that crucial for muscle recovery?
I would say not so much for muscle recovery. It's more so about, stimulating particular hormone productions, things like that, dealing with stress, becoming comfortable in uncomfortable situations. So, it's good for testosterone. It's good for those types of growth hormones to be released. In terms of like icing and things after, injury and stuff, back in the day when I played football, we used to ice everything. Like if you got a hard knock or you rolled an ankle, you'd ice it straight away. But, these days, like I'm not an expert in that, but these days they're saying, the inflammatory process is what you want. You need it. Your body wouldn't do it if you didn't need it. So why are you trying to inhibit it? Like, I understand if you hurt yourself, roll an ankle, and you want to go back out there for the second half and you want the pain to go away, sure, ice it. But maybe long-term doing it to, make it heal faster, probably not, I would say. Like, that's just my personal opinion. But jumping in an ice bath, for sure, like, I think it has, huge effects on inflammatory processes and putting out fires, for sure. And I also think getting your body in tune with how to react when you are in a stressful situation, learning how to breathe your way through certain things. A lot of people don't even know how to breathe properly these days.
So I'm assuming you know about Wim Hof.
Yeah.
One of my mates got me onto him. I don't know how I started watching about the Iceman and just, watching the breathing techniques, which you can do in your car. Pretty safely.
As long as you don't hold your breath.
The thing that has blown me away, other than going to watch a lot of his stuff about, how he's changed the way that his history's written by what doctors are saying the human body can't do this, where he's it can. People are still sitting there trying, it's a fraud, this, that, and the other. I mean, I don't understand how they can do that when he's being filmed. He's like in an ice bar. He's got temperature gauges in there. It's 100% filming. Or when he did the study, injecting them with Ebola or
a toxin.
A toxin, and they all just breathed it out of their system, and the other people got sick.
Yep.
Obviously, there is so much power in being able to control your mind.
100%. I think everything stems, at the end of the day, breath is number one. Depends how you look at it. Breath, you need to breathe. If you don't breathe, you're going to die. Pretty much. If you can control that, and the more that you breathe, and if you can breathe better and you can be more efficient in your breath, you're alkalizing your blood. And if you can do that, I'm pretty sure that's the way that he's, fighting off these toxins and, controlling his immune system and other bits and pieces like that, is from what I can tell. But if we can control that, you can pretty much breathe yourself through any situation. When I was doing the Ironman recently, I had 20 Ks to go in the run, and I was hurting pretty bad at that point. I was like, you're all good. You'll breathe your way through it. You'll be fine. And eventually you did. Eventually you got through it, and eventually you finished. And it's just like, I just breathed my way through it. So if you can control that, I think once that starts to become erratic and out of control, that only heightens and snowballs the effect. Whereas if you can keep yourself under control and this is what it's all about with the balance, bringing yourself back. Everyone sits in sympathetic all the time, and they're so heightened, that's their fight or flight. But people tend to lack learning how to get into their parasympathetic nervous system. Fastest way to get there, do 6 slow breaths and see how well you feel after that. Like, but no, usually most people, you say do 6 slow breaths to someone and sitting in the car, and they'll get through 3 and think of, 5 emails that they need to do and get back on the emails after 3 and not even finish the 6.
So that is what, let's do it.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
All right.
Six.
Ollie, you got to do this.
All
right.
So we want to do 6 breaths.
Yeah,
6 breaths over 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
So is that that's every 10 seconds?
Yeah.
Do I need to time this? I'll just follow you.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Only through the nose though, no mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Nice and slow.
Yep.
Slow in. And we're back. Nice and relaxed. Did your mind go anywhere after like 3 breaths?
No, I was good.
You good?
I consciously thought about it.
Yeah, that's good. See, that's a good thing.
Like
I was like, I thought at 3 breaths, I was like, wow, this is taking a long time. I've got to get back to emails.
Wow, I did it.
You did it.
I actually feel a bit warm.
Yeah, well...
is that hot-headed? No.
Well, it's just, you're oxygenating the system. So basically what we're doing is we're doing an oxygen dump. So you're blasting a whole bunch of oxygen back into the system. And so basically if you were to get, for instance, say, a pulse oximeter on your finger, and let's say you were at 96, 97% oxygen saturation in the blood, if we do that breath work, it's basically boosting an extra amount of oxygen into the blood, and we're basically adding oxygen to all our hemoglobin and in our red blood cells and oxygenating the system, which is basically, turbocharging your oxygenation in the blood, which is alkalizing your blood as well. So sometimes it can give you a bit of a lightheaded feeling. Sometimes it can, stimulate better learning processes. Sometimes it just calms you down and just relaxes your body a bit more.
That's what it feels like. Yeah, it's just as simple as that. And
60 seconds.
So for me, and we'll talk as we find us if we're going. But you're a coffee fanatic.
I love coffee. I do.
Yeah, and you obviously when you're in a different country, you've been pretty fanatical about it. There's a guy from Portland, Oregon, in the class today, and maybe that's one of the only places that has a half decent. I know what you're saying about American coffee. Like, I'm not nothing against the Americans. I love America, but fuck me, they're definitely very few.
They need to up their game.
Yeah, up their game in coffee, right?
Yeah.
So I quit coffee just because I kept on thinking I needed coffee to wake me up.
Sure.
So I reckon I got a very highly addictive personality.
Yep.
And when I have stuff, I probably was having 10 cups a day plus Red Bulls, thinking that in my mind was set, I'm a bit tired, I'll have a Red Bull. But the reality is that's not why I'm tired, or that it does nothing in regards to
energy. It's not giving you any energy, it's giving you false energy.
Yeah.
It's stimulating you to make you think that you have energy, but they're actually you're burning the candle from both ends at that point. So that's when you've actually done a really good thing by understanding that that's not what you need. And a lot of people are just, they would like to be oblivious, or they are oblivious to knowing, I'm feeling tired, I'm really feeling down at 3 p.m. every day. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. You should feel good. Like if you're fueling yourself the correct way, you're sleeping the correct way, you should feel great. And skating your way through and faking it on caffeine is only leading to filling that stress bucket even higher, more than you were before. Your bucket is probably already overflowing, and you're trying to get around that stress bucket by caffeinating or, having, the Red Bulls or
100%. And to just stop, so now I have a coffee like a month or something, or when it's random, because I used to catch up for lots of coffees, but
totally.
I've got an eye mask in my car, and
Great.
if I feel like I'm tired, a 15-20 minute kip, I wake up like going, I can turn off like that, and fuck, I hope work's not listening to this, but to me, I'm functioning so much better.
You're way more productive.
Yeah, and I don't know how I could introduce like a sleeping capsule, but because to me, that's like, okay, I'm tired for whatever reason, and you've got kids and everyone's got stuff going on. Yeah, it's amazing how good you feel as long as it's not too long.
Yes, I agree.
I don't know, there's probably some studies on that, which I've read a bit about the REM and whatnot, sleep, but to me, I can pull over and put my aircon on and put the seat back and be able to shut down.
Same.
And then come back way more invigorated.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I think you can do that 100%. The sleep one, if you're feeling like you need a bit, take it. If you want to feel almost instantly energized, go get out in the sun and get as much as your skin exposed to the sun. Or go take your shoes off and stand on grass and see how good you feel straight away. Do a couple of deep breaths. Those types of things are really good at taking the stress out of that bucket fast and getting you back on track. And if people could just do those a little bit more, instead of doing the things that make them instantly feel that instant gratification of sipping that coffee makes them feel good for a split second, but then they can't sleep at night, and then it's just a snowball effect. And so everything is just compiling to stress and stress and stress, whereas dealing with the stress better, having the nap or getting in the sun or earthing or jumping in the float tank, those things will help you far more than bypassing it via caffeine.
So you just mentioned earthing, and Ollie here, we were looking up some things to talk about, and he goes, "What the fuck is earthing?"
Yeah,
and I
get that all the time. Don't worry.
And I said to him, "Mate, surely you've watched Pretty Woman when Richard Gere walks around is at Central Park with his shoes off?" And he goes, "Fucking hell, mate."
Yeah.
Yes, I've watched it, but as if I remember that scene.
Yeah.
So basically, taking your shoes off and being in touch with the ground.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whether it's sand or grass or whatever.
Yeah. Well, my thoughts on this is whether it has an effect on you physically, like it's actually doing something, or mentally, if it makes you relax, makes you feel good, go for it. Whether it's having a physical effect on, picking up the electrons or whatever they may, or the free electrons, sure. If it does, like they can do some tests and they can figure it out whether it's actually happening and whether it's balancing you out or whether it's, neutralizing you a little bit more. There's some studies on there. I'm not an expert on it, but I know I instantly feel better when I do that. And whether it's just taking a break from what I'm doing, if I'm doing emails, I'm sitting there stressing, pulling my hair out, or trying to program or getting ready for something, and I can take my shoes off and take a break from it and go stand out on the grass, I instantly feel 10 times better. And if that's a placebo, I don't care.
Happy days.
I feel great.
So am I like earthing now?
No, it'd be on true ground. But then again,
I always walk around with bare feet with my fucking socks on. I don't know why. It feels comfortable.
Feels nice.
Yeah, it feels nice.
And if it feels good, then sure. Like it gives you those warm fuzzies, and sure, if it makes you feel good, do it.
So, with the float tank, obviously we talked about going into the sleep, how crucial sleep is, and I don't know why, but from a very young age, like let's go back to high school for me. I was only getting like 5 or maximum like 5-6 hours sleep. And I sort of watched that get to 5 hours. And I was like, everyone's like, "Oh, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that." My old man, he's exactly the same as me in regards to, I feel I wake up on, and I don't need an alarm clock to wake up. I'm up. I feel I have that energy, and a lot of it might be I've mentally talked myself into it, however I do it. But I've been trying to get a little bit extra sleep at night. is there any rules on what's the right amount of sleep?
Well, I guess everyone is slightly different in particular ways. I think if you're waking up and you're feeling energized and you're feeling ready to rock and roll, and maybe you're just very in tune with your body getting into a particular sleep cycle, and at the end of, say, 2 rounds of your sleep cycles, you're getting up feeling buzzed.
So what's the sleep cycle?
So you basically will start off in, they have different phases. So you've got like theta, you've got delta, you've got deep REM and stuff like that. So if you go through those sleep cycles, and usually what they say from some of the things that I've heard on podcasts is that you'll go through these sleep cycles twice in a night. And usually at the end of that second cycle is when you want to be getting up. And usually that tends to happen when we start to get light. So back in the day when we used to sleep outside under the stars and the sun would come up, sun would hit our skin, it'd activate cortisol, which would then dampen and suppress the sleep hormone, which would then get us to wake up. And then at night time, we don't get any of the sun, we don't get any light, and this is why the blue light and everything has been impeding people's sleep, is because we're activating cortisol constantly and it's impeding our serotonin. So basically, as serotonin goes down, cortisol comes up, and then as we reverse it, vice versa. So if you're getting a little bit less and you're feeling absolutely amazing, roll with that. If someone like, for me, I feel fantastic off around 8 or 9 hours of sleep, depending on how hard I've gone in the gym or if training or stress. I'm usually an 8-hour sleeper.
So do you get naps as well?
So it depends on how much workload I've been doing. So when I hurt my back, when I fell off my bike, I was getting between...
We'll talk about that later, by the way.
I was getting about 10 hours a night just sleeping by myself. And then during the day, I would get anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4 hours extra.
But that's recovering.
And that was like purposefully trying to sleep so I could heal my bones as fast as possible.
So why you obviously had a pretty big accident. You fucked up.
Yeah, I just fell off my bike.
Right. So you've taken up mountain biking.
Oh, I just did it for a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a mountain bike. I was using a mate's mountain bike. We were all swapping. And I love riding. Like,
Have you got footage of it?
I don't have footage of me falling off. I've got footage of me about to fall off, but then then I don't have it of me falling.
If we can find a photo of the remnants of that, or the what happened after that, was everyone thought it was really bad. Like, I remember speaking to your dad, and he goes, "Oh fuck, it's not good."
Yeah. I think parents like to stress about those types. I called my mum and I was like, "Mum, how's it going?" She's like, "Yeah, good." She's like, what have you done? And I was like, "Nothing, I'm fine. I'm just at the hospital, just chilling. I'll be out soon." She's like, "What have you done?" I was like, "Oh, I fell off my bike." And she's like, "Okay." And I was like, "Oh."
I have what you did. What did you do? You can tell us.
I broke a couple of ribs.
Yeah.
So I broke 7th and 8th rib, and I fractured T2, T3 spinal processes, and then I punctured a lung, had a pneumothorax.
So you were training at this stage for there's an Ironman event?
Yeah, so I was actually competing in the Open at that point, getting ready, trying to qualify for the games early. And I was also getting ready. I was about 5 weeks out from Bustleton Ironman, which is something I've always wanted to attempt. Getting an Ironman done, it looked like a really hard task. So I was just like, "Oh, it sounds cool. It'll push me, and it'd give me something to aim for." And then, we just decided we were going to go for a road ride, and we decided to go for a mountain bike instead, just to change things up. And I like changing things up. Gets us outside, gets us all working together, and we're with a group of mates and having some fun. And we were all changing bikes. And as we were changing bikes, one bike was stiffer, one bike was a bit softer, one bike was this, that, different heights, different lengths. And I just came around a corner, unprepared, probably took it a bit too quick. It was a bit more cushiony, so I overshot the corner, washed out the front wheel, went over the handlebars, and then hit a tree with my head and kind of rolled up the tree into my back. And then there was a branch sticking out that jabbed me in the back, and then that kind of did the back damage. And then broke a couple of ribs at the same time, and then got my lung with one of the broken ribs and kind of put a little tear in there as well. But to be honest, it was fairly painful, but like wasn't like, if standing still, it wasn't that much. It was like pretty okay. But when they tried to move me, oh shit, that was painful. And I was like, oh, I really don't want to be moved again. And it was like, oh, we have to move you. And I was like, oh shit, okay. But it wasn't that bad. And from what they told me, as soon as they said that you hadn't done any damage to, you know, the vertebrae surrounding the spinal cord, I was like, cool, it's fine. Then I'm not going to hurt myself anymore. So when can I start training again? And they were just like, oh, you need to heal this. And they did a really good job. And they're obviously they've got my best interests at heart. But I really wanted to do this Ironman. And so as soon as I left the hospital after, they had me stay for 4 days. And then once I got cleared for spinal, I got back at about 3 or 4 p.m. in the afternoon on the fifth day, and I was like, I want to get back on the bike. And then Kay was like, no, you can't get back on the bike. And I was like, no, I really want to. And she's like, no, just give it one more day. So I left it another day. And on the 6th day, I got back on the bike, on the trainer and the indoor trainer, and started riding. And so my thing was, I'm going to try and heal this injury for time. At that point in time, I'd already turned over to plant-based. I'd been doing it for about a month already. My nutrition was good. I was really, you know, I'm always focused on recovery regardless. I want to get the best out of my performance as much as I possibly can. And that's without turning to illegal drugs or anything that's going to make me unhealthy in the long run. That's just by far the most opposite of what I ever want to do. If I had to sacrifice my health for something, for a gold medal at something, no, you can take the gold medal and I'll go live my long, happy life. And so I was at home and I was like, I'm going to heal this as fast as I possibly can. I'm going to do everything that I know. I'm going to use every tool in my toolbox to heal this thing. So I was doing things like sleeping extra. I was getting out and earthing regardless of whether it actually did anything or not, made me feel good. I was getting sunlight every day, which is proven to increase absolutely like every type of healing process in the body. I was getting down the ocean. I was getting in the cold water. I was getting in the salt. I was getting in the float tank. I was jumping in the sauna, which is really good for heat shock proteins and healing injuries and wounds. I was doing breath work. I was alkalizing my blood. I was even just picturing my bones healing in the float tank, even just visualizing them healing, whether that works or not. I did it anyway. And I tried to do everything I possibly could to try and heal this thing. And I was back doing like 3.5 hour training sessions, like swim, bike, run sessions within like 11 days. Like, I felt like it was a bit painful, but it wasn't that bad. And it wasn't the bones that were sore. It was the muscles around those areas that had copped it. Like bruises on my back and stuff. That's what was kind of sore. Like, it didn't hurt to swim. It didn't hurt to bike. It only hurt to run a little bit, but just the jolting impact. I didn't lift. Yeah. So after that, I didn't lift up to the Ironman. I probably could have. But I kind of used that time to really prepare for the Ironman. I wasn't doing a ton of training for it. I was maybe training up to 10 hours a week in that last 4 weeks. And then prior to that, I was training maybe 6 to 7 hours of triathlon-based training.
A day?
A week for just triathlon. And then I was probably doing 15 to 16, 17 hours of CrossFit training on top. So I was roughly doing around about 24, 25 hours of training a week. And then leading into the game, sometimes you're in the gym from 8 until 7. You're 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. It's like, holy just shit. Depends what you're up to.
And how much they're training?
You're not doing like... Yeah. It's like you might do a 3-hour block in the morning, you take a break, you might go do a 2-hour block, and then you might go for a 90-minute swim. Something like that. So you might be doing 6 hours of actual work or something like that. But then it fluctuates throughout the year. You need to have your off time, and then you need to have your on time. So you're at real high stress, and then your recoup phases. And so doing all of this, sleeping when I was in bed, and when I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't in bed. Like, I think people would use that time to sit and be still and watch Netflix. And I thought that's the most opposite of what I need right now. I need to get outside. I need to get moving. I need to move my lymphatic system around. I need to stretch. I need to mobilize. I need to be out getting fresh air and doing all those things. And so that's what I did. And then after 2.5 weeks, I got a 2.5 week scan, and they couldn't find any more cracks in my vertebrae. That all healed. They couldn't find any more breaks in my ribs. My pneumothorax had disappeared. The tear in my lung had pretty much cleared up after 7 days. And yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah, and I think that's probably the way it should be, though. I feel like that's probably the way most people should heal up. I feel like that's the norm. That's like if we were to treat ourselves, take into consideration. It depends how fast you want to heal. Like I wanted to heal real quick, so I was determined.
Was it 5 weeks?
I competed after 5 weeks. So it was
In an Ironman.
Yeah. So I did the Ironman.
So that's obviously, for people that don't know, it's like a 9-hour event.
Yeah.
What's the fastest person doing?
Fastest in the world is around 7 hours and 45 minutes.
And what is it? It's 100. I think it's 120k. But how's it start?
So it starts off with a 3.8k swim, open water swim.
Oh my god! I don't think I could do 3.8k's.
So that took me, and I'm like not the fastest swimmer in the world, but I'm not the worst either. It took me an hour and 3 minutes. Then coming off that, we went going to a 180k bike ride, and that took 5 hours and 4 minutes for me.
Yeah.
And then you do a marathon after that, and so that took me 4 hours.
Yeah, that's yeah, good on you. So what do you do it in? So you wanted 9 minutes. You wanted 9 hours.
I wanted under 10. I said I would have been absolutely stoked with under 10 hours, and I did 10 hours and 14 minutes.
So that's unreal. So to qualify for the Australian Ironman circuit, which you don't want to do.
No, so like getting to Kona, like World Series,
Yeah.
you'd probably have to come probably sub 9, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know the ins and outs of triathlon that much. I just intrigues me. I really just enjoy swim, bike,
So you
run.
just thought, okay, yeah. Yeah, like...
Yeah, no,
it's
really...
pretty... I mean, you got to laugh about it. I mean, the
Yeah.
average person, I don't think could even contemplate it. A fit person can't even really contemplate it.
Well, I really think that in any given situation, I think if I was with somebody on the course, or I think I could encourage someone to get one done regardless of their. I reckon I could get you to do one. Put it that way. I reckon if push comes to shove, we would backstroke, breaststroke, swim that 3.8k's, and once I got you on the bike, it'd just be ticking over.
The run would be the challenge.
And then if you need to walk a bit, you walk a bit. That's fine.
Oh, it's just unbelievable, and to actually have that recovery time is full on.
Yeah, I think
it just goes to show that. Do you think that the mind, like, I mean, you did a lot of other things, but do you think the mind is a crucial component?
Big player. Yeah, totally. Of course, I think the thoughts that you think also play with your body's chemistry. Like if you've always got, down depressive thoughts constantly, that obviously plays a toll on the rest of your body, and the reaction that you have from that, that snowballs into other things too. Whereas if you can have a brighter outlook on a lot of things and be happier and release endorphins and do all those types of things more regularly, that's only going to have a positive impact.
You are a positive person. Like I'm even at the gym, like you're encouraging, you're really, you have actually that soothing sort of like, all right, come on, keep going. Like it's quite comforting, to be honest.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
And
hopefully it's not annoying.
No, definitely not annoying, but you can see how that is you. And you've seemed to have got yourself to a stage which a lot of people can't actually think about, how your brain can focus on that level to be the most powerful thing that you've got.
Yeah, I think if you can control that stuff as much as possible, and I'm not perfect by any means, there are times where I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Like if you watch the video on the Ironman, it's like at the end I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. But
or you've just slugged your guts out for 10 hours. Yeah. It's a fair enough time to be doing.
But it was like, I think if we can try and be, it's not like trying to put a positive spin on absolutely everything. Like, I think that is pointless. Like, if you look at something and it's obviously terrible and you're just going to be like, oh no, everything's great. This is like, well, that's not reality. But if you can take a situation that seems like it's like you were saying before, stress, something that would normally stress an average person out, like you've got someone calling you for bills and you don't have the money to do it, or whatever it is, things that normal people like deal with on a daily basis is like bills and relationships and things like that. If you can take some of those situations and flick them as much as possible to, finding a solution or looking at it a different way, instead of like everything's just against me all the time, or like you're the constant like your problem is the worst thing in the world all the time, I think you'll do much better in terms of keeping it, a healthy mind and a healthy body.
It's like gravitating to people that you want to achieve with just as much as you do.
100%.
And, I saw something that's saying basically ditch your bottom 10% of drainers.
Yeah.
Because your life will be a lot less toxic. So it goes the same with finding the people you associate with. Probably the closest people you hang around with, there's some attribute in all of those.
Totally.
You would hope so.
Yeah.
And I always say it to our people is like, if you don't like what you're doing, we don't force you to come to work. If you don't want to be here, then go and achieve your career somewhere else.
Yes.
And I've always said that, and it's no different with your friends, your group of friends. I mean, most people don't have time to listen to everyone's problems.
Yeah.
So you got to be quite selective of who you want to listen to and how much time of the day you want to give them, especially because I think it's becoming a lot more stressful because we have so many more gadgets and devices, and we can travel, gone are the days where it take you 60 days to go and travel. Now you can go somewhere in 22 hours across the other side of the world, and soon, I think in our lifetime, we're going to see that you'll be able to go somewhere in an hour out of the atmosphere, spin around and drop back in. So you can see how things just accumulate. And I don't know about you, but the older you get, you keep thinking, and how old? You look young.
29.
Fuck me. Wow. All right, that's young. I feel old now. Okay, next question. So moving on, to have that sort of calmness about you it's encouraging to see, because you do see it we employ a lot of younger people, and you can see that they're getting stressed out about things that I try to say, look, that's hardly worth worrying about. And half of that's how you perceive your mind. One of the things you haven't answered, that I haven't asked you, you're a morning or a night guy?
Whoa, that's funny.
Or are you just like the all-day guy?
Yeah.
When do you feel like, a lot of people say you wake up, do your hardest jobs in the morning?
Yeah. Well, I think with training, it's kind of both. You need to get up, you need to get training. I love to train first thing in the morning, but then I also love to finish my day with training. So, what's an average day look for you? So,
leading in. So not leading. What have you got coming up next?
So I've got. So I'll probably have a competition at some point during March.
Yep.
So leading into that competition.
We're in January 2020.
Yeah. So within this next 8 weeks of training, I would likely get, say, a gym session in the morning that would go for, say, 2 to 3 hours, more like 3 hours. Then I'd probably take a break for, say, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and then I would do, say, maybe another in-gym session, whether it be a different modality than what I did in the morning. And that might take 90 minutes or thereabouts, or 2 hours. And then at night time, it'd probably be my personal preference to then maybe go to the pool and swim extra, or go and find a crit race that I can go and race my bike, or maybe go for an ocean swim or something like that.
So do you need a period of time after your last thing before you go to bed? Or what's your wind down routine?
So for me, I can go to sleep at any time of the day, wherever I am. If you were to put me down in this room right now, I'd sleep. If I put my head on this thing, even if you guys kept talking, I'd be asleep like that. But when I'm on the go, I'm on the go. There are times when I'm so on the go that I'll get to 5 p.m. and be like, I haven't eaten food today. And I'll just be like, oh, geez, that's not good.
So you're actually not a eat all, you read lots of articles, you listen to lots of people, you need to eat every few hours to keep...
Yeah, totally. I normally am. But if I'm training, I'm very diligent with obviously getting the food in, because I need it, because I know that's my that's my high priority. When I'm, for instance, renovating the gym or doing stuff like that, then I'm just like, let's go, because I want to get it done, and I want to get it done in a timely fashion. Like when I moved the gym last time, I did it in 48 hours, and usually that takes a couple of weeks. Yeah. And I was just like, nah, we're doing it in 48 hours, just because I wanted it done so I could get back to training. Your
normal schedule.
Yeah. So if I'm doing things like that, I like to be on the go, and then sometimes, Caleb will be like, when's the last time you ate? I'm just like, oh, I can't remember. But that's not all the time. Yeah. That's just when I'm flat chat and have something at the forefront of my mind that, if this lasts too long, then I'm losing days of training that I crucially need to get prepared. So I'm going to go so hard at this that I'm going to get it done and get it done now. That's always the way I've been, no matter what it is. Even before I got into the gym and got in crazy into training. Like, I remember when I was fixing a car as a kid, when I was like 16, I wanted to get this job done. I wanted to pull this engine out of this car, and I was out there on a school night. I was out in the garage and I was mucking around with this car until like 4 o'clock in the morning because I didn't want to stop until it was done. And it's like I knew I had to go to bed, but I was just like, no, got to get it done.
You're one of those people that have to complete stuff.
I just want to get it done.
Are you a bit of a control freak then?
Yeah, I would be a control freak if, like, I feel like I'm have expertise in a particular area. If I don't, happily let someone take the reins if I'm not an expert. And not being an expert, not like you have a certificate, but if I've done something a lot of times and I've seen how it works and I know exactly what I want, then yes.
So what do you think is the quickest way to get fit, which gets the best result? Like what do you think is the quickest way to be able to get fit for the average person?
So something that's really resonated with me in the recent years with training, and I've been through phases of training where I haven't enjoyed training much, and which is very odd for me. And I'd go through phases of a few months where I just loathe it and not even want to do it. And that came down to enjoying it more. I think for anyone, if you can figure out a way to enjoy it, whether it's doing it, like for me, I love training with people. I love training with other guys and girls and sharing the training sessions and bonding that way. So that would be that'd be the best way to do it. Do something that makes you happy. And, you know, for some people, it's not joining a gym. Some people, it's joining a sporting club. Some people, it is joining a gym. Some people, it's, you know, just running. If they love running and that gets you outside and gets you active, that's the best way. Do something that you enjoy and find fun. If you don't like any particular exercise at all and you just want to be a part of something that's going to get you fit because you want the end result and you want health, do functional fitness.
And functional fitness is?
As many different combinations of movements at as many different intensities as possible. So go join a functional fitness center that can program for you, and all you have to do is rock up, jump into a class of good people, and let the coach handle everything else for you. All you have to do is do what they say. That's what I would recommend. Otherwise, you will be busting your ass doing something that you don't enjoy, and then at least in those places, you have people that, you know, eventually will start to motivate you, and then you'll eventually find connection with, and then eventually they will keep you accountable. So that'd be the best way I'd recommend if you're just not a fitness person at all and you have to do it because you know you have to and you're never going to like it. If that's the way that you are, then yeah, do that. Go find a functional fitness place.
So all good coaches usually have someone that's coaching them.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone that's coaching you?
Yeah, so Michelle Laton, she runs a program called Deca Comp. She's from Montreal. She has a gym over there called Deca Gym, so CrossFit Deca. And she is one of the most lovely people you've ever met. She's super caring, empathetic, understands. She's been there. She was a 5 times games athlete, super fit. She's had multiple coaches in the past, so she has, you know, drawn good pieces from a lot of different experiences, and that's, you know, going way back to when she used to play competitive water polo. So the way that she sees things is very intuitive and very much like the way the athletes that work with her see things too, so she can understand where we're coming from. And now she says, like, she's still super fit, but she'll be like, no, I just exercise. I don't train anymore. I just exercise. Okay. But she's still super fit. And if you asked her to do a workout, I'm sure she'd be great. But she does help a lot, and she gets me very well. She understands usually the way I feel. And she can understand when I'm busy because she runs a gym as well. She's also been in the position where she's had a gym and been a professional athlete at the same time, like training full time and doing those things and trying to balance that with everything else that goes on in your life. Like, you look at your phone and you've got 50 emails about the gym that you need to do, but then you've also got 3 hours of training that you're going to have to slug your guts to get done, and get done, not just get done, but get done well, because you get it done well and you get the results at the competition. If you just mosey on through that training and just get it done to tick it off the box, you'll do the same amount of work as someone who wins the competition. You'll do the same amount of work as them, but if you just mosey through it, you'll come 10th. So you need to get it done and get it done well. So you're trying to juggle all these different things, and that's where she comes in very handy, when it's just like, hey, Michelle, I'm renovating my gym at the moment. I've got 3 foster cats that I'm looking after as well. I've got 2 dash hounds that are crazy and want to get to the cats all the time. I'm trying to do a million and one things on my email. Hey, like, I just need a few lighter days, like, so I can actually get through them with some type of quality. She'll be like, no problem.
So she's specific daily.
Yeah, totally. She'll write me a week, and if I'm in the hurt locker in any other particular way, I'll just be like, hey, Michelle, feeling like this, what do you recommend? She'll be like, hey, just, take it easy. Or, and then she'll be brutally honest with me and say, hey, you need to, whatever you're doing at the moment, like, if you do want to do well and you want to go to the games, or you want to do well at the games, you need to figure out a way. And this is my thing. Like, this is me. It's like, I can't let someone else handle everything for me. But if you want to do well, you will put steps in place to allow yourself to only train. And that's it. Simple as that. If you want to do well. If you want to do mediocre, you will keep doing things that take away your energy away from training. And if that's what you want, that's okay too. But you need to make the decision. And she's really good at, knowing when to say, hey, take a break, and hey, what do you want? Yeah. It's just like, that's good.
So what's your thoughts on intermittent fasting?
I think it's great. I think it's good. Like, I think naturally, like, I've always been one to subconsciously intermittent fast, just, not particularly feeling super hungry all the time. And like, I used to be a like really bad undereater. I used to never eat a lot of food, which I don't think is the worst thing in the world. But I think there is a phase that, we used to go through back in the day. We're talking those Paleolithic times, where we would go through fasting, and we would go through heavy eating periods. So I think for us as humans, most people are eating 12, 13, 14, 15 hours a day. So if they sleep for 7 hours a day, and they usually wake up and start eating straight away, and they finish eating right before they go to bed, like, while you're sleeping, like, your body is still trying to digest food that you've just eaten right before you've gone to bed. So if you can go periods of the day where you're not actually eating, give your digestive system a bit of a break, also, activate autophagy and clear out some of the dead, inefficient cells in the body, which what happens when we fast. I think that only can be a good thing. And that's what, we did a 7-day fast just recently in Bali, and that was a no stress environment. That was completely parasympathetic. There was nothing I was worrying about. I didn't have to lift weights. I didn't have to run. I didn't have to do any exercise. I wasn't having any external stresses upon me.
So you're telling me you went somewhere for 7 days?
Yeah.
And didn't eat?
Yeah.
And didn't train?
No, it was great.
What'd you fucking do?
Like,
just fucking,
did nothing.
You just sit there. I don't.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. No. So
7 days. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Like,
it was.
I'm curious.
I get it.
Did you pay for that?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Holy shit.
I get it. Look, I can see things. I don't have like a one track mindset on anything. I get where you're coming from. Like, because I would look at it too. If you'd asked me like 10 years ago,
I'll send you somewhere. You got to pay for it, but you're
just
not
eating. I'd be like, fuck that. But no, like I do understand the concept, but I also do understand, and I want to be, and as I said, I'll do everything for the experience. Like, I'll have a crack at anything for the experience, and I'll keep an open mind about anything until I decide or I try it and I dislike it,
yeah,
or I love it.
Totally fair call.
And I loved it.
So what are the feelings like?
I loved it.
What are the feelings? You must drink water, I'm assuming.
Yes, of course, yes.
Yeah. Do they give you tea?
Yeah. Yeah, you can drink as much tea as you like. So you can, well, like we were having each day, you'd get a different tea. So you know, one day might be a licorice tea, and the next day might be a ginger tea, the next day might be a.
This is the ultimate business model. Just fucking
Don't-
tea
tea.
and a room.
Yeah, exactly. we
Low overheads here.
Yeah, super. And I was like, you're in a beautiful.
Where was this?
This was in Bali. This was up in Ubud.
Ubud. And what's it called?
It was Natural Instinct Healing.
Natural
Instinct Healing.
instinct healing.
So basically,
Good on you.
Yeah. So basically, what it was, so Kayla did this back in 2012 when we first met, and she'd wanted to do it just because, you know, at that period of time we were looking at, you know, plant-based diets. We were looking at how to support our health, how to get more antioxidants into our system, how to really turbocharge the way that we optimized our performance and health. And, you know, fasting came about in you know, looking at different YouTube videos and reading different bits and pieces and listening to different people talk. And she goes, I'm going to do a fasting retreat. And so she went and did a 10-day fasting retreat, and she didn't eat for 10 days. And I was back home running the gym, and I kept getting updates from her. I was like, how you feeling? How you feeling? How you feeling? And then day 1, day 2, oh my God, I feel awful. Day 3, I feel terrible. I'm so hungry. Day 4, I start to feel a bit better. Day 5, oh my God, I feel amazing. Like I've got so much clarity, and sentences just rolled off my tongue, and I was just so articulate. I was like, really? And Kayla used to work on TV, so used to work for Totally Wild. So being able to talk in front of a camera and present, that was like her thing. And sometimes she would get like brain fog and wouldn't be able to focus and wouldn't be able to, you know, let things roll off the tongue as well. And then she said, I just felt great. I felt like I could just, you know, if I had to, I could sit in front of the camera and just speak perfectly. And then day 6 was good, and day 7, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, I need to try this. Like, I just want to give it a go to see how I feel. And then, you know, over time, I was like, I didn't want to do the 7 days or 10 days. I didn't want to do that and drop a bunch of weight getting ready for competition. I didn't want to get weaker. I didn't want to sacrifice that time that I had to rest and recover and do it without eating. And so then it took me up until now to say, okay, well, I've just broken my back. I've just done an Ironman. I probably could do an extra week now that I've already done 6 or 7 weeks of not sticking to what I would normally be doing. Screw it. Let's go do this fasting retreat. And it also gave me an opportunity to feel what it was like to fully reset, get all the food and everything that was in my digestive system out of my digestive system, and do a complete reset, like body and mind, and do nothing. And I really wanted to take that opportunity and have a crack at it and see how it made me feel. And it made me feel fantastic. Like, I was hungry for the first breakfast. After that, felt the same. I felt as I feel right now. The only difference was in the last couple of days, I was getting a little bit lightheaded when I stood up. But that was kind of normal. But I went from 85 kilos down to 77 kilos. And then when I came back, I put all that weight back on, but it's mainly just what's made up in your digestive system. Is probably like 3 or 4 kilos worth of that left over.
What about muscle? Like they say,
I think I lost.
I cannot believe it.
I've got a couple of photos what I look like at the end of the fast.
All right, so can you send that?
I'll send them across.
Yeah, have you put them on Instagram or something?
No, I haven't, but I will.
Can I put it on Nick? Because we throw a few things on the...
Yeah, totally. Well, I can do that. So basically, I think obviously glycogen stores in the muscles was quite down. I don't think I had a lot of atrophy at all because it's been 3 weeks since then and I feel back to normal. I'm 85 kilos again, and I'm probably hitting the same numbers as what I was right before my accident on the bike. So I don't feel like I lost any muscle. I feel like I just lost glycogen out of my muscles, and I felt like I lost a lot of extra waste that was stuck in my digestive system. And that's it.
Fuck. It's hard. I think I get hungry after like a couple of hours. I start getting edgy. You've put me through my 4 o'clock zone. Thank you very much for that.
No worries.
That is amazing. I reckon, I don't know if I should try something like this.
You know,
I've done like 16, I've done like 12 hours. I've done like, had dinner and then had nothing until lunch.
Until lunch the next day, yeah.
So
what I would recommend, if you wanted to give it a tester, because in that situation, you can't handle stress as well.
Yeah, because I'm assuming you can be on you've got your emails.
Yeah, I was doing
goal setting. Who knows
mindless.
what you guys
I was
do.
doing, well, not mindless.
Mindless. Talking to Kayla.
Yeah, I was
If I
doing
watch what you say
I was
there.
doing menial tasks. So basically what I did during that time was I did a lot of programming for my online program. I got out in the sun a lot. I sat in the sun. I read books. I
Your walks?
Yeah, you walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, you walk. You can ride bikes. We did a lot of hot and cold plunges. We got in the sauna every day. It was basically a big detox. It was just a big detox from everything. You're just kind of trying to purge everything out, trying to get everything to basically a newborn baby, just flushing everything out that may have been built up over the course of however many years. And, during that period of time, it's just, you do it, a lot of people do it for a lot of different reasons. I did it because I just wanted to feel fresh and re-energized and rejuvenated. And other people were there because they have stomach issues and they wanted to do a complete reset and try and help that out. Other people were there doing it for other reasons. So for me, I really enjoyed it. I'd definitely do it again. I'd do another 7 days. But, in between now and that time, I would probably do, if I had to do it home here, I would do it over a weekend and I would just do Friday night to Monday morning. And then that way obviously you don't have to honestly pay to go anywhere, but you also can moderate.
Must be harder too at home.
Yeah, it definitely is harder, and you got to decrease stress. So,
and that doesn't go away when you're at home.
No,
in
so
regards to your work.
Correct. So what I would do is I'd probably take the weekend off training, so I wasn't getting physical stress in that respect, and then I would decrease my load of where I had to be and when I had to be anywhere.
So it's fair to say you couldn't train and do that.
No, 100%. It's
even moderately.
No.
Yeah.
No, like if you did, you're defeating the purpose of doing it. That's in my opinion.
Okay.
You're
Yeah. I get it.
The idea is being parasympathetic.
Okay, so sports supplements.
Yes.
Whether it's protein, creatine powders, all these. Do you think they have a place, or are you solely natural?
They definitely have a place for sure. But the supplements that I do take are usually just derived from food. So they might be a derivative from, could be kelp, or could be a derivative from nuts or seeds or whatever it is, or hemp. So, yeah, I think they definitely do have a place, and they're sometimes a good option for those who are looking for something quick. And, for us as, humans, sometimes life can be busy, and, getting in something that's a little bit faster than cooking a whole meal is sometimes convenient and sometimes can be a better option. But yeah, 100% definitely have a place. It just depends how you decide to use them and what you're using them for. For me, yeah, I take creatine. I think that's a good one to have, especially being plant-based now. It's a bit of an extra kick in the creatine department, plus also getting in the protein that I need as well. I could definitely do it on just eating whole foods. You can do it. You just have to be smart about it. You have to do your research. You have to find out the foods that have it. And for me, I decreased the amount of protein that I was previously having. And you can see symptoms of that throughout the way that you feel and the way that you smell and the way that you carry yourself. So, I think they definitely do have a place in the diet, but you have to particular reasons. Everyone's a little bit different. For me, I want to optimize performance, and what I'm doing and what I'm asking of my body day in, day out is out of the normal. So sometimes I have to eat out of the normal as well to match it.
So what is the time to have your protein?
Yep. So
after.
So what I would recommend in terms of timing, just get in. So let's just say, for instance,
Use me as an example.
Okay, so how much do you weigh?
78.
78 kilos.
Yeah.
Cool. So
I've lost 2 kilos.
So what I would suggest is approximation, depending on how much you train. I would say
I train 3 CrossFits.
3 CrossFits a
week.
Yep.
And I try to do 1 run or bike on the weekend, or that's every fortnight.
Okay. So I would roughly say that you'd be looking at 1.8 to 2 times in terms of your body weight, grams of protein per day, which you can have at any point in the day. Try not to have, so let's just say 80 kilos. Say you'd be looking at around about 150 odd grams of protein a day to 160 grams of protein a day. And I'll just try and space it out across the day. You don't need to have it directly after you train. You don't need to have it directly before you train, but just space them out throughout the day. Creatine, for instance, I usually like to have mine directly after I train because I've usually busted all my supplies. And I don't particularly need them prior to training because I'm usually have enough already, I would say. But yeah, I would space it out throughout the whole day, and you don't need to really try not to have more than, say, 20 to 27 grams in any particular meal, and just try and space them out as much as possible, or 30 grams. And just try and constantly space them.
So that's not much.
You don't need a whole bunch. Like, you don't need to have 250 grams of protein a day, and some people are having over 300 grams of protein a day. But
in a setting.
Yeah, but you can, for instance, a lot of those people, you can smell it. You can smell it on them that they're not actually processing it properly. You get that like ammonia smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the same as when people on antidepressants. It actually smells different.
Totally. Like, if people were having enough herbs and enough plant food, they would actually start smelling like their herbs and plant food.
What do you smell like?
Like nothing. If you ask,
well, you haven't eaten for fucking 7 days. Yeah. Fair enough.
Now, honestly, actually, during that fast, I actually smelt more than I normally do. So if you ask Kayla, I don't particularly smell like much at all. And I never really have smelt like much at all.
Do you use deodorant?
No, I haven't used deodorant in like 8 years.
Oh, that's fucked crazy. Because when I go to the river, I don't use deodorant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I'm always in the water, right?
Yeah, in and out.
So I thought, because, wife's telling me it's not good for you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, it's killing the kids. Like, I can't spray it in the house. Like, I have to I go out my front door and spray and wait and then come inside, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, so I just tried not using anything. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't smell it. Like, it was fine. Mm-hmm. But no shit. But what about when you train?
No.
You don't smell bad. I've never smelled you.
I would
walked past me.
I would tell, like, if I was, I would say I'd ask Kayla to notify me, but she never has.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy, especially when you train. Do you sweat as naturally?
Yes, I sweat a lot.
Do you naturally, not like sitting here, but when you work out, do you, like, I think I sweat, like, with a moderate workout, I can feel that I'm sweating.
Oh, I sweat a lot when I train, 100%.
Yeah, but trust me, you're training a lot fucking harder.
But do I sweat when I just sit down?
Yeah.
I do a little bit on a hot day, yeah, for sure. But don't particularly smell like much at all. And I think that comes down to, it's usually it's bacteria. It's the bacteria that you can smell. And I think if you can feed yourself, whatever you're feeding yourself usually comes out in that as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've never had to really use deodorant, and I can't handle the smell of it either. So if Kayla puts some on, if we're going to go out somewhere, I was like, I've got to leave the room. I'm just like, can you not? But she rarely uses it too. She uses it sometimes, but it's just personal preference. But for me, I haven't really used it. And then even, like, I don't ever use much soap or like anything like that. I kind of just shower and that's it. And then I'm kind of done. And like, I wash the biggest thing is I do my hair.
Like, you're actually like dreads.
It's
a pretty big man bun, just for the record.
Yeah, so it's like,
I'm just flagging it.
I'll do that probably 4 times a week.
Oh my God, that takes more attention than anything else.
Yeah, but it's a fast wash, yeah.
Do you think you would go faster if you shaved your head?
Probably not. I doubt it. I remember at one point I was playing football and I had like an afro at that point. I was like a teenager and I had like a big afro going on, and felt like every time I was playing football I was getting overheating, so I shaved my head.
And?
I felt cooler for sure. I don't know if it's placebo or not, but yeah, I did actually feel a lot cooler. But yeah, I don't think you particularly need to use a lot of deodorant. A lot of, like, 60% of what you put on your skin you absorb, so
yeah, I
would prefer not to be absorbing the heavy metals in the deodorants and things like that. And there are plenty of fantastic natural deodorants that you could use. You could even just use essential oils if you really wanted to. But if I had a like a smelling issue, I would do it just to save face and also to help the people that are around me. But so far, I've had no complaints. But you never know, I might get one soon. Fingers crossed, I don't.
So we talk about drugs in sport. Obviously, you're pretty clean.
Yeah.
And last year, I think CrossFit had their first. Was it their first ban?
2017, I believe. Yeah.
Which was for the CrossFit community seemed like out of the water. I mean, if someone's trying to go for the peak of what they're doing,
Yeah.
that doco Icarus.
Yes.
Which the reporter, if anyone doesn't know, reporter thought he'd tried doping, pretty much what Lance Armstrong did.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, what really blew me away was that he was already in, let's say, maybe the top 5% of athlete in riding. And to look for it, he got a 10% gain by doing that process. You can see how someone who's right at the top might think that's acceptable. Mm-hmm. Like when you watch that doco, it really opens your eyes. I mean, it opens your eyes for a lot of things.
Yep.
But it really opens your eyes to say people are always aiming for more and more and more and more and more and more in life. And where do you think that ends? What's your interpretation of that?
Well, I think I remember hearing something like, it might have even been in Icarus, where they said they did a poll and they asked a bunch of Olympic athletes, if you had the option to say do something that was illegal, but it was going to guarantee you a gold medal, but it also would take 10 or 15 years or something like that off your life, would you do it? And a lot of them said yes, or a bunch of them, not everybody. I can't even comprehend that. Like, I would never do that. I would 100%, my health is ultimately number one, no matter what. And I would never sacrifice my health for accolades or a medal. It doesn't mean enough to me. And I wouldn't feel good about it either. I just wouldn't feel like I did it myself. I feel like I just cheated, and I just wouldn't be able to sleep at night about it. That doesn't activate me. That doesn't turn me on in any particular way whatsoever. I've always been keen to get the most out of my body and be good at as many things as I possibly could, even from a young age. And to do it, to make that happen, either because of financial gain or because of the way people would view me, I just do not care. Like, it doesn't bother me whatsoever about that. So that's not what motivates me at all. I like just to see how well I can do, and if I can give my best effort and put my best foot forward each time I go out there, whether that's 40th place or first place, fantastic. Like, I've done my best. That's all I can do. But I would never sacrifice my health for a first place medal. I just don't care enough about that stuff.
Yeah, it's all about natural, which you can.
Well, it's the journey about the training and
getting there. All
that stuff. Like, and if I don't enjoy it, like if I don't enjoy the training, like I'm not going to do it. Like, I'd rather go surfing. Like, seriously, I would go to Mentawais and go surfing with my buddies, which I've always wanted to do, which I've had to sacrifice and not go on these trips to train and to do it, because I do love that as well. But yeah, if I didn't enjoy the training process, put it this way, if you didn't enjoy training and you did make it to the games, you would only be there 1 year or 1 or 2 years, because it takes so much of a toll on you to buckle up and to knuckle down to get the training done and to do it day in, day out, and not just one day and not just 1 week of training, not just 2 weeks of training, but you need to back it up and back it up and back it up. Eventually it wears pretty thin, even for people that love training. Like, I love training, but it's worn thin on me a few times. But I always seem to find a grasp on it eventually again. But if you didn't enjoy it, you'd be there for a single season and you would be like, oh, well, I don't enjoy training enough to continue putting myself through this shit, so I'm not doing it anymore.
You got to love it.
You got to love it. You got to love it, and you got to do it for the right reasons. And if you're doing it for the money, you're doing it for the fame, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you won't be there very long. And if you're doing it and you're doing it illegally, it's just like, and if you can sleep at night, far out. Like, well, I don't want to compete with you. Go and compete in an event where you can do that. That's fine, but don't compete with us. Like, for the people that don't do it, we put in a lot of hard work.
Don't come and compete with us.
Yeah, don't. Yeah. Like, simple as that. Like, I'm happy to say that to anyone that is doing it.
I was lucky enough to go for a Red Bull stunt flight.
I saw that.
And the pilot was Matt Hall.
Yep.
And I just thought it was a stunt flight. And halfway up there, I was like, fuck, you're Matt Hall. And he goes, yeah, that's me. He goes, a lot of people say that, like, because they're surprised. And the thing he said about the Red Bull Air Race is that he goes, you get a couple of people that come in for one season or not, but if they don't fit what they're doing, and these are experienced pilots, I don't know how old Matt Hull is, but we're buddies on Instagram now. But the guy is an absolute legend, and he just talked about loving what they do. We absolutely love it. And people that come in, they don't last in their industry because it doesn't fit the mold that they've created. Technically, they've created something out of nothing, and they love it. And it's the same as what you were talking. My tips in the air actually got him to be the world champion a few weeks later.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was, I'm proud of that. Matt knows all about it too.
That's so good. Oh, I agree. I completely agree with him. Like, if you're not loving what you're doing, I don't even know why you're doing it. Like, if I loved,
Well, I'll ask you that. If you weren't doing what you were doing,
sure,
what would you do? What would you be doing if you're not doing fitness, CrossFit? Like, what would you be doing?
I probably would. I think if I wasn't doing that stuff, I'd probably, open up like an animal sanctuary or work in a zoo as a zoologist or something like that. More than likely.
Really?
Yeah, probably.
So you've just taken some cats on board recently as well.
Yeah, Kayla and I have fostered some cats. So we basically foster them until they're ready to be adopted. So they've got a place to go. So the care is always, inundated with animals that get left on the side of the street or whatever they are. So we can look after them for a period of time and unload the burden on some of the carers. And, we've got time to do it. We'll do it.
Okay.
And we've got the room to do it. We've got a spare room that cats can go in, or the dogs or whatever.
Have you watched that doco, Don't Fuck With Cats, on Netflix?
No, I haven't. I don't think I could.
Oh my God.
I don't know if I could bring myself to see that stuff. Like,
mate, it's fucked up.
Yeah, I know. I've heard about it, and people have told me, like, if you're a bit.
I think I can watch anything, and that's a fucked up.
Yeah, no, I couldn't watch it then. 100% not. Like,
Okay.
I don't even need to see it, but if people even bring it up, I'm just like,
they actually don't show you, but you know what happens. It's fucked.
Yeah, like that stuff. That's just like I can't.
Well,
I can't,
my wife
I can't
can't
handle.
sleep. She goes, I couldn't sleep after.
Yeah, 100%. No, I agree completely.
So, what do you wish you'd known when you first started out, like, which you now know? And I guess, what's your best advice for people wanting to start out in your industry?
I think in terms of like fitness, and if you for instance, if you wanted to, be, say the fittest on earth or whatever it is,
Yep.
I would say be prepared to be very unrelatable to a lot of people, and don't expect a lot of people to get what you're doing. But I would also say just enjoy it as much as possible, and if you don't enjoy it, don't do it. But if you enjoy it, you'll do better. You'll do better if you enjoy the process as much as you can. There are hard days, but those hard days are always backed up by really good results. So for me back then, I would be probably, it's hard to say. I would say to myself now, it's just like, just take it easy and enjoy. But back then, you don't know if you're going to make it or not. And like, you've set this goal, it's like, I remember thinking, am I ever going to make it to the games? Am I ever going to make it to the games? I've always fallen short each year. And then eventually you make it, weight off your shoulders. It's great. It's fantastic. But prior to that, you're on edge. It's like, I'm putting all this effort to something that I don't know what's going to happen. So I would, I would say to those people, you're going to have to work really, really hard and do more than what you expect you're going to have to do by far. Like, there were times where I thought, I'm doing so much, I can't do any more training. And that was like 2016. Then I did way more training in 2017. Then I did way more training than 2017 and 2018. Then I did so much more again. And not in terms of particular time, but even though it was a lot more time, but just in terms of the way that I trained. And each year builds upon each year. It's not just 1 year of training gets you to the games. It's, I've been training myself since I was 4 years old when I started playing soccer. That's where it all started. So I guess if I could give one piece of advice, it would be you're just going to have to enjoy the process. And if you're not enjoying the process, you're going to have to find a process that you do enjoy.
We talk about being authentic with what we're doing, how we've left the Foodland group, we're building a warehouse, we're trying to be more communicative. Is that a word? We're trying to be that to our consumers, our customers, so they can see the journey that we're on. And it is no one's doing it in our industry. Coles, Woolies, Audi, they're closed fences. So we're really trying to do that. And I say what you're saying all the time. If you don't love it, find something to do. Or, we understand we're a stepping stone in our business to go somewhere else. And we've got plenty of accountants and lawyers and kids that like to edit or whatnot that have come through the traps that are just trying to find their feet. So we really want to encourage that.
100%.
So if you died, which let's hope that doesn't, and came back as a board game, what board game do you think you would be?
Oh man, I bet you everyone answers like Cards Against Humanity or something like that. But I don't know if that would be me. Because I've only ever played that once.
It's a funny question because I think it's fucking hilarious. I think I'd come back as Scrabble, where you can I can always change my mind at any particular point in time and come up with any different words or point of view. Yeah. So to me, I think it's Scrabble, and I've never thought of that answer until then. But it does pose lots of board games out there, and there's Monopoly. And
a board game that I really enjoy is Articulate. Have you ever played?
Can we look that up, please?
It's so much fun, and if you want to get into a real great argument with your best friend or partner, then play Articulate.
Is it a word? Is it an e-learning software?
No. So in a nutshell...
Yeah, tell me. You've actually got me.
So you've got a timer, and you've got a 30-second egg timer.
Yeah.
And you're working with your buddy, another partner, and you've got a board, and your cursor is yours and your partner's, and then you've got like world, nature, people, etc., these different categories. And so when you land on a particular space, you then have to read one of the things. So let's say it's people, and then you pick up the card. You need to get your partner to say the name of that person without saying the name of that person. So let's just say the person was JP Drake.
Yep.
I would say to Kayla, I'd be like, you know that guy that trains at the gym and he's got that place where you buy food? She'd be like, yeah, JP Drake. And so then you grab the next card.
Oh yeah.
And then you got to get as many as you can in the 30 seconds as possible. And you get to the end of the 30 seconds, and if you don't get any, like, it's disaster zone, because then you don't move forward any spaces and you have to redo that one again. But the thing with it is your partner usually has a very different way of explaining things than you, and you're just like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you some kind of moron? Like, you've just explained that in the worst way possible, and you should have just said this. Why didn't you just say that? It's hilarious. It's one of the most fun games possible. Like, it's great. It's fantastic, but it causes riots. It's just...
I could see. I've looked it up. It actually looks pretty cool. That's actually something that...
it's so much fun. It's a hell of a laugh, that's for sure.
So you're the first one to say that. So I've never heard that. So it gives me something to look up.
It's the best.
And I guess, look, wrapping things up, it is... you talk about it's hard to get where you've got, and you being one of the best, we do the podcast because, we're enjoying talking to people, and that's why there's no real structure to what we're saying. And we're not sitting there saying, hey, this is what you do as like a positive, go, because a lot of that comes mentally. And you've clearly summed up that your mind is the most powerful tool you have.
Totally.
And how you deal with that, how you got over your accident just before an Ironman event, how you've mentally got to a stage. So 2017 to 2018, you had a big difference in results in your CrossFit Games.
Yep.
Was there one thing that you can sit there and go, fuck yeah? Or was it just, I did exactly the same, I just had a better result?
It'd probably be a little bit of both, but to be honest, like, I wouldn't have expected 5th this year at all, or last year. But I just kept rocking up. I just kept honing the game. Like, when I did bad at particular events, I just took that away, and each year I worked on it. And some years, like for instance, some years I would do terrible in muscle-up workouts, and I would work muscle-up, something shocking, come back, do another muscle-up workout. I was like, I've been working these so much. Then come back and still do terrible at muscle-up workouts. It's just like, well, you just keep rocking up, and you just keep doing your best. And then, a workout popped up this year, and it was like a shoulder to overhead, like shoulder endurance workout, which is usually not my forte. popped up, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to have to, take whatever comes in this one. And I ended up getting like 4th place or something in that event. And it's just like, well, I didn't expect that, but I had been working it a lot. But I just kept rocking up. You just got to keep going at it. And like, there are plenty of times where I thought prior to making it to the games, oh, do I even want to keep doing this? Do I even want to keep doing this? And then, just kept buckling up for another ride. And, eventually persistence is key. Dedication, persistence. You just keep on it. And if you want it bad enough, you'll make it happen, and you'll figure out a path. And you might try a few dead ends first. And when I say a few, you might try 100 dead ends. And then eventually you figure out the puzzle piece if you want it bad enough. And persistence.
So it's pretty simple, hard work, and you've nailed it, and just keep rocking up.
Just keep rocking up. Yeah.
And it's great to have you here. Thanks for coming on and talking shit with us for a fairly long time, so we've kept you longer. We've got some, no one can see this unless they're watching, but I doubt anyone's watching this far. So we've got some vegan stuff here.
Yep.
I don't know about the kombucha, but...
it looks amazing. It looks amazing.
But there's some vegan products here, so you can have those.
Great, thank you. I appreciate it. We actually have a bunch. Kayla is obsessed with these.
Vegos?
Oh my God.
So they've got the Vegos chocolate. We've got some of these banana chips from Joe's. This, it looks interesting, is the original protein patty.
I need to actually make, I'm gonna have a crack at making those, because I'm gonna put them together. I think I might even do that tonight.
All right, well, bring one for me on Wednesday morning.
Done.
So we got some. I've got some other stuff, but I must have left it in the other of which you'll give it. Do you want to try that? So
yeah, I do.
So we've got here plant-based. It's a jerky, so I can't say beef jerky.
No, plant-based jerky. So it's made from soy. I think it's made in soy base.
Yeah. I'm keen to try this because I can't imagine.
Oh wow, you guys want to try?
Sure.
It's amazing. It's actually really nice. Would you like to try? Good. So
that is good. Is it bad? Is it bad? That's what I got to ask.
Well, you wouldn't live off it, but
no,
it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just got non-GMO soy, which is great. It's got a bit of sugar, bit of black bean sauce, black beans, sea salt, water, rice vinegar, ginger, non-GMO canola oil, spices, sesame oil, and B12.
Would you eat it?
Yeah, I'd eat that. I'd eat it on a snack. I wouldn't have it every day, but...
Is that one of your 20%?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's what I would have...
It tastes great.
Oh, that's beautiful. But what I would say, for me, I always look to try and... So what I would say my diet consists of is whole food, plant-based.
Yeah, that's a great takeaway if it's whole food.
Whole food, plant-based.
And plant-based.
And
a better combination, having them as the one is probably the ultimate combination.
Yeah. Yeah, whole food, plant-based. And if I can stick to those guidelines, then I'm doing pretty well. And then if I have things like this, from time to time when I'm chilling out and want to just have a snack and relax, sure, that's fine. It's not the end of the world, but you still got to live your life and enjoy. And if that brings you a little bit of happiness, sure. So
do you eat out much? Fuck, I meant to stop. Sorry, I'm curious. Like, do you... Because eating out is the hardest part.
I love eating out. And but that's a treat. Like, it's kind of a treat. But a lot of the things that we make at home, like, we love cooking. Absolutely love it. We love creating new things and trying recipes that we see online. So cooking at home is almost like, I can try and cook this and I hope Kayla likes it. And sometimes she likes it and sometimes she hates it. But
well, that's fair enough, because we're probably hopefully selling all the products.
Yeah, 100%.
You need to do to make that.
100%. So like it's good, but then like to go out and find, usually if I go out these days and try and find something that I would eat, I would usually just look for like a sourdough with avocado on top is usually what I can get most places. That's probably what I would have. But then there are a couple of places popping up that do really cool, funky, plant-based meals that are like, made from, pulled mushrooms and things like that, kind of look a little bit like chicken, but it's not chicken. And I'm not looking for, something that imitates, animal product, because I'm not turned on by that. But the taste is amazing. But for me, going out is a bit of a treat. But a lot of the stuff I like to eat, I like to make at home because I can see exactly what's going in there. and I know exactly how I'm fueling myself. And then
Yeah.
if something doesn't go quite right with training, I can kind of pinpoint it's like, oh, I've been having too much of this processed stuff that's making me feel weird in the stomach, or it's making me feel bad, or I'm not getting good sleep. Maybe it's too much caffeine, so I need to pull back on the coffee and maybe go a few days without it. And just being intuitive in that respect and kind of knowing yourself and saying, am I eating out too much, or am I doing an okay job? And, you know, you can kind of toe that line a little bit. But yeah, I like to cook at home a lot. I love cooking, and I like to fuel myself with the best ingredients possible, because I want to not only compete optimally and perform well, but I also want to be able to do my job well. I want to run the gym well. I want to do well for my online program. I want to be able to have energy to help Kayla out with the dogs and the cats and all that stuff. And sometimes, you know, drop the ball there, but, you know, you do the best you can. Like, that's it. And that's the way I see things. You do the best you can. And at the end of the day, like, if you're going to stress about doing a poor job at something, it's just like, okay, well, you can only, at the end of the day, and this is this is actually going back just a little bit, sorry to this, to continue this on, but when you said, what would you give advice to someone who's having a crack or who wants to have a crack at something? At the end of the day, the best you can do is give your best effort. That's it. Simple as that. And then, you know, that gave me such a relief when I'm lining up in the corrals, and it's a nerve-wracking thing. You're lining up against Matt Fraser and Noah Olsen on either side of you, and Pat Vellner and Brent Vikowski, and you're just like, holy shit, this workout's going to be hard. Am I going to do well? Am I going to do bad? And it's like, well, all I can do is do my best.
Well, you're there.
That's
for a
it.
Start.
I can only do my best, and I can't do anything more than that. Like, simple as that. And then when I think about that, I just like, cool, I'm here, whatever I can do my best. I'm going out there, I'll push as hard as I can, I'll hurt for 15 minutes, and then I'll put it to bed. And then that's it. And then sometimes it works out, flip the coin. Sometimes it doesn't work out. And then you just enjoy the ones that do, and then try and forget about the ones that don't.
So I'm fair to say, if anyone hasn't done a freaking CrossFit workout, or just go do one and then understand how he can comfortably say, just do the best you can, and you'll be fine afterwards. I mean, I walk out of that gym feeling like I'm going to die almost every day. So it's an amazing way to look at it, and it is really interesting to see where you've gone in not even 30 years of age. And 2020, good luck to whatever you come across. I'm assuming you want to try and get to the games again.
Yep, that's the goal.
So that's your goal. And then once you get there, anything can happen. But what you're doing, from what I've seen with Soul 365, has been amazing. So, you know, having the control of that and having the right people around you is crucial. And, you know, good luck with everything.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.